So I'm like, it's awesome. All
That's so
right.
cool.
So
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing, right?
Nope, you are all good. Let me get to your account.
So I did put in a password and so on, which maybe I shouldn't have done, but
You put in a password and stuff.
yeah, it made me put in every time I log in, it makes me put in a new password
For
for the AI assistant.
hmm, okay, we'll take a look because it shouldn't be doing that. Okay. And then if you're cool with it, we're recording. I will probably edit this up and post it in the school group.
That's
If you're
fine.
okay with that.
I don't
Um,
care. I look like doo doo.
I'll be sharing my screen most of the time.
I
So
don't care.
I've had quite a few people reach out asking different things like that. And so
You know I'm easy.
I didn't think you would mind. Obviously, I'm not, well, I don't even know that if you can stream live directly into the school group, but um, obviously not like not doing that live or whatever. But if, yeah, I figured you'd be okay, but I want to at least
Yeah, no,
run it
you know me.
by you. Okay, let me share my screen
Anything I
here.
can do to help you, because you help me.
Well, that's a good relationship right there.
Yeah, I mean that's how people like actually collaborate. That's real collaboration. It's how can we help one another?
All right, why can I not find? Okay, let me share.
There we go.
Let me go ahead and do a couple things. Okay.
I'm gonna have to do some of this myself, right?
Yeah, some. I mean, you can always reach out and message me and stuff.
Well, what I meant is like uploading stuff.
So I'll show you. It's easy.
Yeah, no, it looks super
Yep.
easy.
Yep. So this yeah, we'll just kind of walk through. And so the couple things we did kind of an overhaul. Version 2 dropped like a week ago.
Mhm.
Streamlined a bunch of things. And so I'm going to kind of talk through as we go through everything. The Again, partly obviously to build it out for you, and then also thinking through if anybody's
Yep.
watching the replay and stuff. So before we even dive into all of it, a couple things that I think are pretty unique with this solution. Because before this, I've used quite a few other assistants, bots, however you want to word it. One of the things that we wanted to make sure of was that it was all within Fulcrum, right? That it was all within Serum. There's several, but you have to like
All
go to
within
another
what?
website. Do it now?
All within what?
Within the CRM platform. So there's others where like you have to go to a separate website. So you have like your messages over here and you're like setting up the bot over there. And this is nice. It's all in one, things like that. The other great thing is so the AI, like all conversations are coming in here. Doesn't
Okay.
mean the AI is responding,
Hmm.
right? In fact, for most of these, it's not responding. But here's the thing. Once we get the assistant built out, and let's say for Susan, we add the tag for the AI to respond, it has the entire conversation history because
Hmm.
it's been capturing it from the beginning,
Okay.
right? Where others, it's like until you actually turn on the AI, it's not capturing any prior conversation. So everything's getting captured. There's just the AI is not responding. So
And
you can
it's
see how,
because it's all in the CRM, correct?
yep, and it's all connected. Yep. And I mean, there's some pros and cons. One of the reasons other people don't do it is there's tokens and some things that on the back end, but especially with 4.0, OpenAI's 4.0 that dropped, and in October they're coming out with the newer version of
I
4.0,
saw. Hmm.
which has more tokens, cheaper, faster, all this stuff. Then I mean, it's kind of one of those like it's pennies on the dollar to capture the conversation history. So we've got that. You've got call history here. Once we get that set up, you can see the transcripts and all that fun stuff. performance. So you can see here, AI replies, talk minutes. I'll make sure we've got, I've added minutes to your account and everything. So you can see the different, just some history here, and you can then go in and see. So again, just kind of good.
Time saved using AI. I love that.
Yep. Yeah. And again, it's like the more you use it, we kind of have some estimates on, how long it's conversing or having a call and things, and that's time saved, right? So, so you can go in and check out all of that. The two big things that we'll focus on really are the knowledge base and then the actual build of the assistants. With version 2, one of the really cool things is we've started adding some widgets. There's more to come. So if you've seen like on some sites, there's like a floating orb kind of thing that you can click and call, speak directly to. So that's one of them. We've got the floating orb and a few things. These are, I would hold off using these quite yet. They're getting reworked for version 2 of the AI and everything, because it was a complete, basically rebuild. And then, so active tags, the way the system works is through the tag system. So you add a tag to that contact, and that tells the AI to respond. Again, we're going to walk through super detailed all of this as well. And then phone numbers. So there's two areas of phone numbers, and so this is a bit important. So you have your CRM phone number that you purchase down here under settings and phone numbers, right? So this is connected to the CRM. This is where somebody could like call or text into, right? But now the assistant, because it is technically a separate platform or backend, backend side, it has its own phone number if you want it to do the voice and stuff like that. And so we'll walk through everything and setting that up. And I'll share some pros and cons. We're working basically to have it to where, like, from the phone number over here, it can all be seamless, same phone number for text or voice and all that. But again, I'll walk through all that here in a minute. Okay, so the first thing that let's do is, should we do the knowledge base or the assistants? We'll do the knowledge base. We'll just start here. And so the way, like, the knowledge base is great. It's where you provide more specific information for the AI to basically call, right, to recall. One of the things in version 2 that we did is we completely restructured how that information is stored. So it's much faster. The AI is much smarter, if you will. I'll put quotes kind of around smarter. I won't get into all the technical aspect of it, but the speed and way it's able to recall information is substantially better in version 2 than version 1. Version 1, not to speak ill of competitors, version 1 is like the standard of how most people build it out. It's how I would say just about everyone else's knowledge bases work. But we don't want to be like everybody else. We want to be ahead, above and beyond. So, okay, so create knowledge base. We can name this whatever you want. So I'll just put think different dementia, and I just put KB. You could have multiple knowledge bases. So you could have this be more of a, actually, let me back up. So this would be great if you have, as we're thinking through assistants, and you can have multiple assistants, right? So one may be a lead to book call. Okay, right? That assistant doesn't need to know every detail about dementia, right? So you don't need to fill that knowledge base with every minute detail kind of thing, okay? Now, you can have an assistant that's more either for current clients or like a dementia specific resource that people can go and ask really any dementia related question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Its goal is not to book calls. Its goal is to truly just be a resource, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you would want to load up with as much information as possible.
Yep.
So it knew like very detailed information. So that's where the knowledge base is great. And this is also where you can name it. So again, I mean, we could always just rename this like, actually we could do like lead to book call KB.
Mm-hmm.
You can name it whatever. I'm still kind of working through what naming conventions make the most sense. And again, as we continue to build and, you know, you always are learning and improving, even us as we go through these. Okay, so then we can click continue, configure. Now this is really cool. So you can see the type of information you can enter into the knowledge base. So plain text, if you have a, you know, you can just enter it there, copy, paste, what have you, whatever information you want. You've got FAQs. So put the question, you can put the answer. So especially as you go through, if there are, you know, I mean, we have one client, I think I put in like 30 FAQs. And so it's great because now if somebody asks that specific question or something around that question, like it knows exactly the answer, right? And so those are real quick. It's quick for it to recall. You can upload files. So for this, let's say, I don't know, it may or may not be as applicable for you, but I know for some clients, it's like they'll upload like an instruction manual, something like that, right? If you have a file that's you know, a PDF or something that's really good about dementia or something like that, right? Like you could upload it. If you are doing a like maybe you're doing a lead magnet, right? You could upload that lead magnet in here and have it like so it knows like what file, like what they received as their lead magnet kind of thing. Next up, you have scrape URL. This is great. So here, if we want to put in a URL, it can scrape that information. Do you want me to have it scrape your?
What kind of, so I guess a couple of questions, like what are the best websites for it to scrape? Like your own website, or for example, like the Alzheimer's, like when we get to the knowledge base, one like the Alzheimer's Association's website. Do you understand what I mean? Like there's
Yeah, it really it depends. I always will do at least your own website, so it knows more about your business, like
sure.
you specifically. Um, and then yeah, if there's certain so like prime example, we built some of these out for some events, some conferences, right? And
Mhm.
so we would scrape like the conference site, we would scrape like the list of speakers, the list of the speaker bios, things like that. And then you can, so one thing to also note is like once we set this up, you can always come back and add more
Mhm.
more information. So it's not like you have to go through and like, oh, if I like, I have to know everything right this second.
Right.
The other thing that's important to note is that at least the way it's set up right now is it scrapes that specific URL. And so what I mean by that is like, let's say you put in your main website, right?
It's just the main page, right?
It's just the page. It does not pull the like sublinks within that domain.
Mhm.
It is just that main page. So if you do have like a main page, if you have an about page, if you have a services page, if you have a like
Uh-huh.
whatever your main like not your primary homepage, but your main pages are that you might want it to scrape, you need to enter those as separate URLs
Right.
because it doesn't expand like all the
And
sub when
that'll be easy once it gets um to the new website. So like the one that's probably got the most content is going to be the podcast one,
okay.
/podcast. I don't know if it'll take it with that, but
Yeah. And so we'll upload it and we'll just name this
yeah.
uh
But each one of those links is a different link. So
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't even go to that page yet.
Like I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work because
Yeah,
each
so it's,
podcast becomes a different link.
oh wait, what did I? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So the next file type is audio. So you could always upload the audio from those sites. I'll need to double check because each of those podcasts are separate links. I don't think it's going to pull the actual podcast. Um,
So
but
where
just for,
where would it? Where could it? Could it do it from the YouTube?
um, so you could always just take the transcript via YouTube or wherever, and you could upload that as a file.
Okay.
Um, let me, here, I'm gonna
So
delete
that's
this.
another great activity for a VA is to
Yeah, is to just go through and
every
like pull
week,
the,
every week when the episodes drop to come into the knowledge base.
yep.
Would they, so is there one central repository or would it be each different assistant?
Um, wait, ask that again.
So is there one central knowledge base or
So,
does each
yep. Okay.
assistant need a separate knowledge base?
So you can have, yep, you can have multiple knowledge bases. You can assign your assistant to the different knowledge bases.
Okay. So what I
So
was,
I'll show you what I mean here.
right.
So
But
like you could have a podcast knowledge base and just keep all your podcasts there, um, and then link that to the assistant.
okay, so there's so for my brain and for
Okay.
other people who are maybe watching this later on, think about having a umbrella with all of the like a central knowledge base. And then underneath the umbrella, you could have little baby umbrellas with separate different knowledge bases. And then we have the AI assistants over here that can be assigned two
To the
different
knowledge. Yep.
umbrellas.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other nice thing is you can also come in here and you can delete any individual files out of the knowledge base, right? So what
Okay.
I mean by that is going back to like the lead magnet example, right? You probably aren't going to use the same lead magnet forever and ever. So
Uh-huh.
what you could do is you could upload the PDF and be like current lead magnet, right? So it knows what is currently being used. You no longer use it. You could delete it off the knowledge base if you wanted to. And so here it's going through and it's basically scraping the main website. I'll show you here once it finishes up the kind of the data structure, what have you. But yeah, so you can go in and so it's creating the vectors, it's storing the vectors. And when you look at the information that it's stored, it's not going to make any sense to you, right? But basically, we broke it down uh, into simple like vector arrays that makes the AI allow it to pull it up super fast. So I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Like it won't make one. Let me see if it's so it's not going to make really any sense to you.
That is amazing.
But the AI, because each of these I consider myself somewhat technical. I cannot speak super deep on this, but my understanding is by breaking it down this way, it's like the AI can retrieve the information like in a fraction of the time in how other storages knowledge bases are built on other platforms.
Wow.
So it is kind of cool. So here's your website broken down into basically AI
Computer
retrieval
talk.
data. It's computer talk. Yep. So it is pretty cool. And
That is
so
pretty cool.
um, and then, so the last thing would be audio. So here again, if you have podcasts, if you wanted it to, actually, let me kind of preface this. Obviously, test, test, test. And when you go live, try to go live in small increments, meaning like if it takes your sales calls and you want it to do full sales calls, you can upload successful sales calls under audio, so it has the transcript, right? And you can name it successful sales calls. But then what I'm saying about like iterated out to the world is don't just say, okay, on Monday it's going to take all my sales calls and I'm never going to go back and double check it, right? Let it take one or two, go back, look at the transcripts, look at the things, make adjustments. So like where, like for our business right now, it's doing the triage call, the 15-minute kind of pre-screening call. And then from there, it captures the information, it qualifies them or not qualifies them. It then books them on my business partner, Tobias's calendar for more an in-depth consultation kind of sales call. We are working towards having the AI even be able to handle some like full sales calls and things. So like we're working on uploading pretty much the same thing I'm telling you here, uploading the audio and things like that. But you could upload podcasts here, you could upload transcripts, all that. So it is pretty cool. And regardless of what you update it with, it breaks it all down basically as that computer talk data. So it's quick retrieval. Okay, so I'm gonna just leave that as the one right now, just to, and then so we can keep going. And then, like I said, you can always come back. You can add additional web pages, files, texts, FAQs, things like that. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, and so if there's certain questions, I will say if there's certain questions you get all the time, definitely I would do a separate like FAQ. Here's the question, here's the answer I want it to kind of respond with. Things like that. Okay, so once we have the knowledge base, we can go and we can start creating our new assistant. And so this is where like when I texted you, I was like, okay, well, what do you want your assistant to do, right? And you're like, so much.
I know, right?
So we could have this be like a lead to book call. Okay. So I'm gonna just put lead to book call assistant. And then let's see. Description, qualify leads, and schedule appointments. And so here we'll create the assistant.
So it will do what? What's it doing now?
So, okay, I'll show you here in a second. It is, and hopefully everything. So there was some API stuff going on yesterday. I mean, Facebook was down, Facebook leads. This should be, let me see, because it usually will pull right up. So I may need to.
It's going across. I can see it at the top of the page. There's a
okay. Yep. So what it's doing, and I'll show you, like it's got like identity, it's building out your prompt. Okay. Now, typically what will happen, it's already scraped your website and built a prompt for you. Now,
that is just amazing.
You may or may not want to use this prompt, but because the prompting is so important, it took the website that we added to the knowledge base and it's gone through and it's built this for you. Okay. So pretty sweet, right? Again,
and it picked a name for itself.
It picked a name and everything. Now,
that is
let's say it's blank, or you don't want it, or you want to try something different. You can come here. We also have an AI generator prompt. And so again, you could say, hey, I want you to be a friendly, assistant for new inbound leads to schedule a call. And I want you to do XYZ, hit generate prompt, and it will generate a prompt in the same structure. Now, you can give it a lot of prompt, you can give it a little prompt. I've done some where I've literally used like 5 lines of prompting. Okay. So it just kind of depends on how much guardrails do you want to give the assistant. And so here, Taylor, you can always rename it. Right. Engage with potential clients, understand their needs as dementia caregiver, schedule appointments with Lizette, co-founder and dementia coach. Taylor has a compassionate and understanding demeanor, da da da. So this is the identity. This is what you want it to know. And again, you can just go in here and edit whatever you want. Style guardrails, and then response guardrails. And so they're kind of similar. So this is going to be more like, usually this is more like, speak in a friendly tone kind of thing. And then response guidelines would be like, so for like, we've got some home services clients, and under response guidelines, we put like never give a price, right? Because you don't, if somebody needs a new roof, you don't want it trying to say, oh, it's going to be like $12,000 or whatever, like without somebody inspecting it. So that's kind of the response and style guidelines. Avoid multiple questions in a single response. Get clarity. So if they only partially answer, use colloquial way of referring to dates. And so again, you can kind of use it, play with it, adjust things, things like that. You've got your response guidelines.
I also don't want it giving a price because I don't really know what my prices are.
Okay. Yep. And so here we could just put never give actual prices if asked. Something like that. Okay. Now, the AI assistants do best in what we call a task-based framework, right? So very do this, do this, do this, do this. They are smart. They're not always intelligent, right? And so what I mean by that is like the more, and it kind of goes back to the guardrails, like what do you want it to do? Okay, so here, greet the user warmly, introduce yourself, right? And you may want to take off the LLC, or it may say, hey, this is Think Different Dementia LLC kind of thing. You can either do like ask how they heard about it, or what brings them, what has them reaching out to you today kind of thing. So here, explain the mission, ease the burden, and help. Coaching blended. So again, it's pulled all of this already from your website, which is really cool because I don't know that I would have worded like done it this well. Specific needs and challenges, provide a concise overview of how it can work. And so this is where like you may want to add to the knowledge base, like either like here are the packages, or here's the services, or here's an outline of the coaching program kind of thing.
And thankfully that'll be on the new website coming up in October.
Yep. Suggest scheduling an appointment. 30 years experience, user agrees, book an appointment. So actually, we may want to adjust this a little bit. I'll show you here in a second. Some things that I have found just work a little better. But we'll get to that. And then, then we can also create a tag. So what tag is going to be assigned to the contact in the CRM that will tell the AI to respond. And so usually what I do is, and so if you have like multiple assistants, then I'll usually name this like lead to book active tag. We're going to assign it to this assistant. Now, you can have the tag be whatever you actually want. And when you put it in here, it will create it in Fulcrum. I have started, because I didn't do this initially, and I realized, ooh, man, I really need a naming convention. So for me, what I have found is I started naming them all starting out AI. So that way I know all my, like, I can quickly look at the tags. AI is the ones that are assigned to it. Now you could use assistant, you could use, bot, you could use whatever, just some sort of
AI.
I use AI, and then I'll just put like lead to call. So now, whether the system adds a tag, you could manually go if you're conversing with the contact and you're like, ooh, okay, I want the AI to now take the conversation from here. You could just add the tag AI to, AI lead to call. If they respond to that, whatever the last message was, it'll pick up the conversation from there, and it'll have the whole conversation history because it's captured it from the beginning. So add tag, it's going to go through. Da, 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 da. Okay, cool. AI lead to call is now a tag in the system as well. So we'll save changes. Awesome. Save change. So now we have a tag. We'll get a phone number here in a second. I'll show you that. Okay, so let's walk through some of these here under the toolkit. So maximum number of replies. I kind of go back and forth on this. I have started increasing this to like 85 or 90, so that way it can be a more in-depth conversation. But basically, this is like how many messages do you want it to respond with, right?
Mhm.
And so I'll usually do something a little bit higher. Wait time, I will say we have found 15 seconds to be way too long.
Mhm.
I will usually do 4 or 5 seconds. Here's the pros and cons with that. What's funny is I used to put 0 and people said it's not human-like enough. It was responding too quickly. So I started putting 4 and 5. If somebody is, let's say it's texting, right? Somebody's texting in or messaging in. And a lot of times you don't necessarily like put your entire what you want in one text, right? Like
Mhm.
you usually will break it up like da 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 send da 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 send da 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 send, like back to back to back real quick. If this is 0, it doesn't have time to capture if somebody sends multiple messages in at once. So I probably would not put it at 0. I do think 15 seconds is a little too long because then it's like I don't know if the like it makes it feel from the contact standpoint that somebody's not even there, right? Because if you're waiting for a response, 15 seconds can feel like an eternity.
Mhm.
So you can play around with it. It does somewhat randomize the times between like 0 and 5 seconds, or kind of right around that 5 second mark. This is pretty cool. This was an issue in version 1. So sleep mode. So if there's a conversation going on and you go in and you manually respond to the contact yourself, and they respond to you, what happened in version 1 is the AI would respond and you might respond. So all of a sudden now it's getting multiple responses. You can turn on sleep mode. So now if it sees that you manually responded to the contact, so if there was a response to the contact that wasn't generated by the assistant, it will pause for 15 minutes and not respond. So you can now take over the conversation for a little bit, and then it will wait, and then it'll resume the taking over the conversation if it's been at least 15 minutes since you last responded. So that was kind of a nice setting.
So
Okay,
always just leave that on.
I turn it on. Yep.
Okay.
Now you could do like if you're like, hey, if I respond to a contact, I'm usually just hopping in there and it's a real quick response, right? I'm not going in and having conversations with contacts. It's I see a question, I hop in there or something like that. You can make this like 5 minutes, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have long conversations with contacts. So you can play around, but yeah, I've started turning that on. Settings, I usually don't mess with these. Basically temperature is like how creative versus how deterministic do you want. And so the if you bring it all the way down like here, it's basically every conversation is going to follow the same, like it's going to be very deterministic. It's going to use the same phrases over and over. There's not going to be a lot of variability between conversations. If you pull it up all the way over here, it it's gonna like it's gonna get quite creative. Like its responses won't always be the same. Every conversation will be quite different in how it responds. So I usually keep it kind of at that 0.3. It has some creativity, ability, but hey, I want you to respond pretty consistently,
Mhm.
right? Because the hardest thing to do is to update or to train an AI that responds all over the board, right? But it's much easier. Okay, you go through and you review like 5 conversations, and it's like, okay, it answered this way every single time, and we want to fix that. So I usually do 0.3, anywhere from 0.3 to like 0.5. I think it's fine. Again, it depends on your audience too, and just how much you want it to have that kind of variability. I don't mess with the tokens. Essentially, I would just leave that. It has to do with how many tokens it can use and figuring out the responses and things. Voice, this is pretty sweet. It defaults to Emily. I use Emily for probably my first dozen or two assistants. I have fallen in love with Grace. I really like Grace, but again, you can go in here, you can listen to them. Um, I don't know if you can hear it actually because I have headphones on.
No.
Okay. And so you can go through and you can listen to it. I think Grace is, yeah, I like Grace, but if you want like male, female, if you want, different accents, British, Irish, American, etc., you can do whatever. So I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna select Grace because that's become my favorite. And then you can have ambient noise. So depending on, and in a second here, you can adjust how loud you want that background
Hmm.
noise, but maybe you just want some kind of like, because sometimes like silence does seem weird, right?
Hmm.
So maybe you do want some sort of static noise or just like a very low kind of call center background voices kind of noise, um, coffee shop kind of noise. Again, it really depends on like what, how, I don't want to say humanistic, but it's almost like if it's an assistant, like maybe they are out of the office, right? And they see the new lead come in or something like that, and they're just happy, like they're picking up the phone, like where they're at, right?
Hmm.
So you can go through, you can choose whatever. I'll just leave coffee shop at the moment. And then I just leave all those. I'm not sure if you need HIPAA stuff. If you do, you can turn this on and basically it tells them they can opt out at any time. I usually just don't because I don't usually work with medical HIPAA related content. Here, ambient noise. So this is that background noise. What volume do you want? How responsive do you want the AI to be? I usually do one. Interruption sensitivity, like do you want it to allow it if somebody speaks over them or something like that to be interrupted? I usually keep that. Voice speed. This is where um, this is where it really depends. So if 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 it needs to be a more calming voice, I'll turn it down. Right.
Hmm.
So like sales calls, a lot of times you just want a much more soothing, a little bit slower cadence kind of thing. If it's one of those where, maybe it's it calls the user, calls the contact before a workshop. Well, you may want it a little faster, a little more excited, right? You may want a little more emotion in the voice. And so you can go in and you can like adjust all these things. It's really cool. So you may want faster and a little bit more emotion, right? Get them more hyped about the workshop and stuff. So it's so cool. But again, you can adjust all this however you want. So that's in the voice setting. Calling, I almost always leave this here. And so basically your options are dynamic start. And so it'll start the conversation off with, its own prompt, basically some sort of generated message. If you want it to start with a very specific message. So for this, here's what I mean is like, sometimes when you call business, like they have a very
Hmm.
structured script. Hey, thank you for calling, Think Different Dementia. My name is this. How may I like, so you could have it where it responds every single time to a call, or you could have it to where it just stays silent until the other person says something, and then it'll go from there. I usually leave it there. Um, Pre-call, post-call webhook. I won't get into these right now, but basically, let's say after the fact that after the call, so post-call would be like, okay, once the call ends, let's say you had a Zapier or something like that. You had a webhook. It took the call, it took the transcript, and maybe it went and it, I don't know, did XYZ with it, summarized it and sent you a text or an email with it. So you can do some different things. Voicemail, I usually leave off. And so again, this is if it's an outbound call to the contact and they don't answer. Do you want it to hang up or do you want it to detect a voicemail? I usually leave those just set as is. Knowledge, again, we've already connected it, so that's already connected there. If you wanted to use additional things there, you could. Calendars, so here we're going to connect to calendar because we want it to book. And
Hmm.
so first thing we're going to do is you can see it's in either place, but we're going to sync calendars.
We probably want it to go to the 20-minute one, right?
Yep. Yep. And so 20-minute, we'll click add to assistant. What it's going to do next is it's going to go through and it's going to do like a test booking just to make sure that it's connecting and it's pulling the right availability.
Amazing.
So it sees you're in Eastern. Here are the dates. You can double check it, but those look to be correct dates. So we'll confirm the times are correct. We're going to go through and it's going to, if it doesn't book, it will give you an error and it'll tell you, hey, here's what you can do to fix it, basically. So booking success, it created a contact, it booked, it deleted the contact. So now here is one thing.
Look at that.
It's so cool. Now, I will say one thing to keep in mind, and this we see, and I make this mistake quite often, it's connected, but we haven't actually added it to the assistant. Okay. So all you have to do, and I'll show you here in a second under a couple other things, is just come back and click add to assistant. And now you'll see it show up right there. So pretty sweet. You can add multiple calendars as well. So what's really cool is you can tell it in this instance, use this calendar, in this instance, use this one, right?
So it's interesting, it booked it, but it didn't take it out.
Oh, did it not?
No, it didn't. It's Jane Doe on the 20th.
Oh, that's good to know. I wonder, oh, you know what? I wonder if it's because we hadn't connected the tools. Well, no, it still should have. Okay, I'll check into that because I thought I was supposed to delete it. So here are pre-built tools that we've already set up for you. So check availability. I add all of them. Every time I just go ahead, unless like you're like, hey, this AI, the assistant is like, its goal is to not book an appointment, then you don't need these because it's never going to book an appointment. But I usually by default just turn all these on. So it can basically all these deal with the calendar, obviously. Create tasks. So this way it can create a task for you. If there's follow-up actions, if you want, it can create notes, which I use quite a bit. It can self-schedule. So let's say it's calling a contact and they're like, hey, I can't talk right now. Will you call me back in 30 minutes? Without you touching a thing, it will call the contact back in 30 minutes. It will self-schedule itself. Send an email. You could be like, hey, at the end of the conversation, send an email to the user, which is the contact in this sense. The user is the contact. And so there's some naming little convention, but and it can send an email with either additional information or what have you. And then it can call the user if necessary.
This is amazing.
That's what, so those are the built-in tools. Now, what's really cool is, and this is something on like with version 2, is we now can have these own tools, and there's multiple ways that we can build tools. So in this one, we can basically connect to any outside endpoint. I'm not going to go super deep right now, but for instance, some of the stuff we've done is where, like, let's say it's a roofing company and the assistant asks for the person's address. We can then calculate distance, and it will call this basically third-party kind of app, and it'll take their office location, the contact or the user's location, and it will calculate in mileage what the distance is. So you can call basically all these different tools, which is really cool. The other really neat thing is extraction. So with this, we can tell it to update any field over here, any of your like custom fields under the contact, and in what situation it should automatically do that. Okay. So here's what I mean by that. We can also have it live transfer calls. And I mean, it's so cool. This thing's unbelievable. Okay. So here we're going to sync your custom fields.
You're geeking out.
I mean,
I love it.
So, let's find a good, what would be something that you would want to know from the contact regarding that would be set up as like a,
I don't know enough to know. My stuff is such a mess. So are these all of the custom fields?
It's populating all your custom fields from the system. Okay,
Gotcha.
Just as an example. So, I thought I saw like financial. Okay, this may not be at what it's actually for, but for instance, we're going to use financial. Let me see here. So we're going to put use this function after asking the user how much they currently spend on dementia care. That's all you need to put. Now, anytime in the conversation where the user or the assistant asks, or maybe they say something that would fall under this category, how much they spend on dementia care, it'll automatically populate that field, update that field for you. So pretty sweet. And so this is for any like non-standard pre-built field. And so again, just like on the calendars, it's here, but now you have to add it to the assistant for it to actually take effect. You can also do tags. So for instance, let's come down here and we'll create a tool and we'll say add tag. And we'll just say, we'll say qualified, right? So we can say, use this if the user is qualified. And then in the prompting, we can say, ask these questions, if this, add tag qualified, or it'll automatically add the tag qualified. Or you can say, hey, a qualified lead is one who has a relative who has dementia, is currently spending XYZ, is, you know, within the United States, is da 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 da. And then if at any time during the conversation, it determines that the user, the person it's speaking to, either via chat or voice, is qualified, it will automatically add the tag qualified. Or you can manually tell it to as well. So yeah, so those are some of the things. So for instance, we could come down here and we could say, ask the user, oh, actually, you know what? Do you have I wonder if there's a needs. Well, anyways, I'll keep going. I'll show you here. So like here, right, you could create a custom field that's a multi-line field, right? So it's it's a paragraph that could be put in there, and you could just name it like dementia needs, right? Then here, what we could do, ask the user about specific needs, right, or challenges, and then we could put, and then call function. And so over here, we could say, fill contact dementia needs. If you had a multi-line field, right, that was dementia needs, for instance, maybe you do, and I didn't see it, but so now it's going to ask the user via voice or chat, you know, hey, like, what are your needs? What's going on? Things like that. And then it'll put their response into that field. Or what we could do, and then let's do this, and then summarize their response and call function. So now it's not going to put it in like verbatim. It's going to basically take the highlights of what they said that their needs are and create it can either populate that field if you want it as a field, or what we could do is say, and call function create note. So now it would create a note over on the side of the contact with the information. So there's all these different things that it can do. And so, yeah, so if you had a custom field that was like dimension needs, this would then populate that field automatically. It could then automatically create a note specifically for their
But now we
needs.
need to have that because we don't have that.
Well, I didn't know you wanted me to do everything for you. No,
Hey,
just
good
kidding.
Lord, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
We'll do that in a second. So, okay, actually, let's just go ahead and do it now. So let me make sure it's saved. Then we'll hop over here, custom fields.
So what you're teaching me is some stuff I've never known.
So custom fields, like you've seen these.
Right.
Right. So we're just going to do a multi-line custom field, and we're just going to call this dimension needs, since that's what I called it in the other. And oh, I forgot I had moved over my snapshot. So you have all like my tech stuff. We could clean that up. And so I'm just going to save that. So now if we come back here, now it does make sense because there's a field that is dimension needs. And so we'll go assistant, configure, come down here. Oh, but did I put that? Oh, wait. No, okay. I need to do sorry. And so here let's look up. Let me resync because we just added it.
So what you guys need to do is almost create a document with all of the cheat words, like what you just did, the, you know,
Yep.
custom, because that's Greek to me.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we will. I mean, like,
There you go.
so here it is, dimension needs. And so um call this function after determining the user's dimension needs. Short and sweet. That's all you need. And then we'll add it. So two things. One, it can automatically extract it here.
So pretty much what this is going to do over time is give me all the words that people are using.
100%. Yep. And so now we have, where was my dimension needs?
Right there. You were right over it.
Oh, yep. And so now fill contact dimension needs. All right. And then it's going to also create a note right afterwards. So call function, I mean, that's just whatever over here you want it to do at that time. So it's just going to call, these are basically functions, like custom functions essentially. So, and again, you can have whatever stuff you want there. And then verbiage, I usually don't do much with this, but here you could do where it's like, let's say you see it saying, I don't know, it's responding with apples, and you never want it to respond with apples. You want it to respond with bananas. You could do
So
that.
I'll tell you what I want.
Okay, even better.
Suffering with dementia. Don't want them talking about living with dementia.
Perfect.
It's a person living with dementia, not a person suffering with or suffering from.
Yep. And so now instead of saying like this, or we could do, that should work. It'll go through and it'll update. And again, you got to make sure after you create it that you add it. But now it's going to go through, and anytime it would say like suffering with dementia, it'll replace it with living with dementia. Other thing that you could do there is like, instead of saying hello, you want it to say howdy,
Hey.
or, hey, something like that. Like you could always, so again, now I will say there's always a balancing act, right? Like you want it to give it guardrails, you want to give it instruction, but you can also go way too far where it doesn't have the creativity, if you will, to kind of run itself. Okay, what area code would you like the phone number to be?
864.
Okay, let's see if there's one available. Now, I will say one of the things we are working on is right now, you click buy, it's just going to search and buy it, where on the CRM side, like you get a list and you can pick. So one of the things, again, we are working on kind of wasn't the most urgent. So let's see if there's an 864. There you go. Number purchased. Boom. Already booked to the assistant. Boom. Now it is a phone number. So we'll save changes. It's technically good to go. We did set up, so this is going to be via a chat message, but we set up where it will basically run some simulations, so you can make some prompts without using like actual tokens or things like that. And so, boom, saw you on Google. What services do you offer? Again, it's not perfect, but it's a pretty good back and forth. There's like an AI to AI kind of thing it's going through.
Hmm.
So again, we said don't say pricing. Understand pricing is important. Best to discuss directly with Lizette. She can go over the details. Would you like to schedule a time to speak with her about it?
Could you give a rough estimate?
So pretty sweet, right? Like we told it,
Oh my
never give
goodness.
pricing, where you could always say like initially don't give pricing. If they are determined for keep asking about pricing, give them a range or something like that. So you can definitely prompt it to, but we said never, like never give pricing. So
Mhm.
it's like,
Well,
nope,
probably
sorry.
once I get the website up, they do. So it's interesting. You get different feedback from different types of people. The the coaching, the high ticket coaching people, they're like, don't have your price on the website. And then the website developer, she's like, that's old school not to have your prices on the website. People expect to have pricing on the website. Not having pricing on the website turns people off.
It's both ways.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
if it's more of a coaching thing, I would not put the pricing on there, typically. And some depends on like how qualified do you want the leads coming in? So like if you put your pricing on the website, if you put your pricing like on the ads, like, hey, here's the service, here's the offer, here's the price. Anybody who comes through the ad to your call already knows the price. They're going to be highly qualified, right? But
Right,
it does mean you're missing out on the people who maybe initially turned off on the price because they don't fully see the value. Where if you had them on a call,
right.
you could build up the value, and then the price they may, they'll find a way to afford it, right? So, okay, so it just ran through. You can see again, pretty good responses. I mean, granted, I've talked through the whole thing, but it didn't take very long. Um, and so this is some of where, and again, so I'll like this is where you can get you can continue to continue to update the prompt, test things like that. So
Mhm.
for instance, here, if user agrees to schedule an appointment, book appointment, right? Sometimes that works great. Sometimes it'll just be like your appointment's at 11 o'clock on Friday, because we told it just book an appointment, right? Never even asked if that worked for the
Mm,
user. So
right.
again, you kind of need to go back and forth, and we're doing some stuff on the back end to try to make it more intelligent, if you will. But you could say like call function, right? So we're going to come over here,
Hmm.
check availability to find times Lizette is open. Um, uh, Provide 3 or 4 times to the user. Continue going back and forth until an agreeable time is determined.
You see, it's this kind of stuff that I don't know.
It comes from me spending hours working on
Hmm.
this. But here's the thing, though. I'm gonna do this. It may work just fine. Book an appointment,
Hmm.
because it's like, anyways. Again, we're doing stuff on the back end to where if you say book an appointment, it knows to find available. Like it knows to go through the standard process. So that's kind of what some stuff that we're working on. But until an agreeable time is determined, um, and then we could say, um, uh, and actually, sometimes I'll do it this way just so it kind of breaks up into more steps. So I'll do 9A, 9B. Um, Once a time is agreed upon, confirm with user the date, time, and time zone. Um, one last time, if good. You can say book appointment, or again, we've tried to go more where it's just like you can use,
Hmm.
standard English basically. Uh, Part of it is in version 1, you had to be a little more specific like this. So call function, book appointment. So we could do something like that. And then actually, so what we could do one last time, and then actually we're going to do 9C. Um, and then if something like that. And again, there's not one way. Obviously, you have to word it to do it. And I may go a little too overboard here. It's definitely again, we're getting smarter and smarter. But that way it goes through, because I have seen it, and this was more in version 1 where you'd be like book appointment and it would be like, are you interested in an appointment? Okay, you're scheduled for Monday at noon. And it's like you never even asked them.
That is so funny.
Because it just said book an appointment, so it just found like a spot that was available and just them right in. So here's some things that we can do. And then again, this may be overkill, but we could also put like info known about user. And so we could put like name. And so you hit the open brackets and it's already pulling in the fields from the system. And so we could say name is this. We can say email, and we can use contact email. Now, again, it should automatically, with this new version, pull this information over. But now it's like, when we say make sure you capture it, like if any of these are blank or it doesn't know, it knows it'll know to ask. So probably not necessary. Again, some of this is just, I sometimes put it in, I sometimes don't. I don't know that it makes that much of a difference, but so yeah. So we've got a tag, we've got a phone number, we've got all of that. We could set up like a live chat option for people to message in on the website. We could set up you could call the phone number right now if you wanted to test it out. Let me actually, I'm pretty sure, I think I already gave you like 100 minutes. So you could do that. You could, and so the way we would fire this off is if we go over to, I think I saved it, automations, for instance. I'm just going to create a new folder, name it AI. You'll have to go in and see if it actually like interferes with any existing thing. But here is how easy it is to have the assistant respond. And so we can do customer replied, and let's do chat widget. Let's do Facebook Messenger.
So any of those.
Yep. So whichever ones you want. I mean, you could do, so we could do live chat. We can do, and so the reason I do this instead of just replied is because I don't want it necessarily, although I guess it technically probably could respond to emails. Like I don't want it to respond to emails. I don't want it to respond to a call directly right now. And so we can do, let me do Instagram DM and then SMS.
So tell me about the WhatsApp. Is the WhatsApp in the CRM, is that an additional charge now?
It is. So thing to keep in mind, that's a business WhatsApp account. And if I'm not mistaken, I think those actually I think WhatsApp charges. And so, yeah, I think it's like $20 additional a month. It's really more if you deal with international clients, which maybe you do, because it's definitely international is way more prevalent. I'll be honest, I've not personally really used the WhatsApp. But
see, I do actually have some clients overseas.
then maybe it makes sense. Yeah, I think it's like $20 a month extra to add it. So it's not, you know, it's not anything like ridiculous. And then what was the other one I was gonna do? Did live chat. All right, I think SMS maybe was the one.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay, so you ready to see how hard it is to get the assistant to reply? Here we go. Get ready for it. Done. Well, nope. Gotta publish it. Done. That's it. That's the only workflow you need at the moment.
Really?
That is it.
So let me ask this, for each AI bot, do you need a different automation?
Not a different automation, different tag. So what you could do is if we wanted to further like build this out, we could say like current client, and we could say well, I guess by default it would be no. So but we'll just put contact type.
See, this is where all the logic stuff comes in, and like that
Yep.
stuff to me is like, I don't get it.
So here, what we could do is we'll move this one over here. Now we could have another AI that's specifically for current clients, right?
Mhm.
AI client response. So here, whatever message, whatever way they message in, it will look, are they a current client? If not, or if they are, then we can add a tag AI current client.
Okay.
And so you can have a whole separate assistant that's just geared to current clients, right?
Okay.
So we could do this. We could say, we could do things like
Your next coaching call is going to be,
XYZ. Yep.
yep, or
And then let's say they are, okay, so let's say it's a lead. Then from here, you could say like, I think we can do it this way. So we could say, I was thinking there was last activity, but last appointment. Anyways, I was trying to go through and see
put in
like
activity.
the, or we could say, hey, if it's like during business hours, do this, or if it's not, do this. If it's a, yeah, I mean, so, or maybe, you know what, maybe what we want here is, uh, so here we could say workflow contact is active in, I don't know, do you have a appointment confirmation and reminders, for instance?
That one is not, that's part of the
Okay.
the
So,
other people's stuff that they've
yep, yep.
given me.
Okay.
Calls
Strategy.
booked.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we could say like, hey, do they have a current booked appointment? Well, yes. Okay. Well, then we want it to go over here, either to a separate assistant, or we can generate a separate prompt where they already have a call booked, what have you. And so you can build this out to where like pretty straightforward, right?
Maybe to you. Oh, you're
But
creeping
again,
me
I'll
out.
go back to like, if we just want this one assistant to fire off on any basically inbound message, I mean, all we technically need is the triggers and then add this tag, and it will take it from there.
Mhm.
So,
Let's keep it simple for right now.
yep. I'm just saying, I'm showing ways like you can
Mhm.
incorporate different assistants, different situations.
So you really just need one automation for the AI.
You can, yeah, for sure. Um, the now, actually, let me show you one other thing here. Let me go back and actually, hold on. Let me see when my next is. I got a few. And so we had the call, 20-minute call. So this is something we've started doing. Um, uh, internal notification. Do you have a like a confirmation reminders and stuff?
Mhm.
Which one's that?
Who
Oh,
the heck
20-minute
knows?
book. Sorry, I think I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, yep, this is perfect. Okay, so here, what we could do, now I'm not going to do it right this second, but we could even create a separate assistant that is like appointment confirmation. Very short prompt. You're calling the user to confirm the appointment this time, right? Very, very
And
straightforward.
just stick it anywhere in the automation.
And then what we can do is say, so that's 30 minutes before, 5 minutes. What's the next 6 hours before, one day before? We'll do it here. And so then what we can do, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, so these are the ones that are, oh, actually, I need to update something so you have the other ones, but make AI call. And so here we would just put in the assistant ID, which I'll show you over in the assistant. Custom variables. So this is going to be what we can pass from here over into the prompt in the AI automatically. So pass the information. So for instance, here's what I mean by that. We could do appointment, start date, time. Trying to think if there has to be two separate ones. Actually, now that I think about that, and then we'll do time zone. I'm just going to put an arbitrary assistant ID in there for right now, just so you can see it. But now what we can do is the day before, we can have the assistant call the person to confirm. Obviously, we would want to create just a short separate assistant probably. But we could say like, doesn't need a ton of knowledge base. It doesn't need a lot of prompting, right? Like your goal is to call and confirm the appointment. If the time is no longer good, call function reschedule or just reschedule the appointment, right? And that'll handle all of your call confirmations and rescheduling. Now, I have started just like the past 48 hours. I've set this up to where it does an outbound call 3 hours before an appointment on some of the stuff I've been setting up.
Mhm.
But again, you can have it the day before, you could have it an
I
hour
like the
before, you
three
could have it
hours before.
however whatever you want there. But then yeah, so it's just going to prompt the AI to make an outbound call to that person. And then um but yeah, and so it's super straightforward. um it's a very like, I'll call it single-minded assistant, right? Like you don't need a lot. You don't may not even need a knowledge base. I usually will just do create new assistant, call confirmation assistant,
Mhm.
and again, the prompt is like you're calling the user to actually here, let's go and do this real quick. um uh,
You are so good at this that you don't even know how overwhelming it is.
keep in mind, I was way overwhelmed when we first started rolling this out. It's literally, I spend hours every day. I spend
Mhm.
hours every night just playing with prompts and going through and testing. And I've now probably built out like 30 or 40 assistants.
So what would be like when you think about what I'm trying to do, where would you like I need to get on sales calls with people,
Yep.
right? And so I have my quiz funnel, I have the workshop. Um, I have the Facebook group, which is organically growing.
Yep.
Um,
So I'll show you, give me just a second. I'll show you a couple things here. Okay, so real quick, we are going to add the calendar back since we've already connected it. Like it didn't take very much, right? We didn't have to go through and like test it and all that. We're going to do these because we're doing call stuff. Yeah, that should be good. That's really all we need there. And then here, your Taylor, and appointment confirmation. Now it should already know this because it already connected to the knowledge base, but if not, uh, and so here, if we scroll down here, we have the custom fields we brought over.
mhm.
And so we can do, so it's going to be at there and there at that. So this is going to be the date and time. That's going to be the time zone.
Okay, because it was in the variables, right?
Yep. Yep. And so if the user is no longer available, now again, this is where, especially in version 2, this should work just fine. We could just put reschedule appointment. It should know what to do. If you wanted to get more specific, you could say like call function reschedule underscore appointment kind of thing. But again, this should work 100%. So like in that other assistant, we had a pretty long prompt, right? There was a lot of stuff we wanted it to know. There was guardrails, things like that. This one, 3 lines.
Okay. And so we need to do the phone number.
So it would just need the phone number. Yep. Now it so one phone number can only be, so this would be one thing, is one phone number right now can only be assigned to one assistant, because if it's an inbound call, you can't have 2 assistants answering it simultaneously. So you would need to purchase an extra, like a separate phone number at the moment, for it to make the outbound call. So that would be the only other thing that would be needed. But here, oh, so real quick. So right up here, you've got the assistant ID. So this is what we would copy. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. So this number right here, you just hit the little copy. This is what we could go back into the automation. And this is what we would, what was it? Call 20, I think. Call 20 booked. And actually, there's a couple things we could do. So here we would just paste that in there. So we could do this. Actually, thinking about it, we could have variable 3 be so it doesn't have to be like it's going to send it over as a variable. It doesn't have to be an actual variable here, like a field. So what we could do actually is this actually may make it more dynamic. And I'll show you why I'm doing this. All right. So it's going to call it to confirm the appointment. But now, and again, like it's just one of those where the more you do it, the better you'll get. But check this out. Maybe if they cancel an appointment, and actually we should probably put like a wait 5 minutes, but we could have the AI call. Here we did the appointment start date time. Here we did the time zone. And variable 3 is user just canceled their appointment. call to reschedule.
It's
So
amazing.
now we could use, this should work. Again, I haven't tested this. So
Mhm.
the more I do this, the more it makes me think of, oh, we could do it this way. We could do it this way. So really this assistant, the second one, could be like confirmations and reschedules.
Mhm.
Right. And so here, call confirmation and reschedules. And so really here, your table, your Taylor, actually, your Taylor assistant for here, when instructed, uh, so now we could tell it, and we'll have to update the other one. But basically, so when instructed, call the user to confirm the appointment, or
Mhm.
when instructed, the user just canceled their appointment, call to reschedule.
It's amazing.
Um, uh, and then actually what we could put here is depending on the situation. Oh, actually, let's do this. Current um, what's current time. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter what the current time is because their appointment should always be in the future. Their appointment. And so here we could do here. And again, obviously you want to test this before going fully live, but so their appointment is at here, date and time,
Mhm.
and then it can at least reference that. Um, and then actually your current time is, so now it sometimes it could say, hey, your appointment's in 3 hours. Like it'll use colloquial language.
Mhm.
So something like that should work. Again, I would want to test it. I have not tested that. So if you're watching
Mhm.
this, just FYI, I have not actually tested this yet. But now we have a one assistant that can handle confirmations, that can handle reschedules, that we could even take it one step further where if you have a call scheduled and they don't show up and you mark them as no show, it could call and be like, hey, saw you didn't show up for your latest call.
See,
Right.
mine never actually delineates. They just always say that they showed up. How do you actually get it to?
Yep. So there's a couple of ways that we could do it. One would be we could
Did you
have it.
say that?
I saved it. Yeah. So one would be we could have it message you and like send you an email or something. Hey, you had a call. So like 5 minutes after the call starts or at the time the call starts, you have a appointment scheduled with John Smith with the contact name. Click here if they showed up. Click here if they didn't show. You
Yeah,
could
we
click
need to
that
do
and
that
we
for
could
me.
do. So that would be one way. The other thing that you can do is you can come into calendars and appointments.
We just need some way because mine's just showing that everybody showed up,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
that's not accurate.
So yeah. And so the other thing you could do is come in here. And so like if they didn't show, you could just come in here and mark them as no show.
I want it more. I don't, it needs to be on my phone. I'm never gonna go in there.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes like we can either do like a form or usually just a number.
I like
Um,
the idea of sending me a text.
um, yep. And so basically we would just need
A
a,
point, like I swear I've never seen that it lists it like that.
oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So calendars and then appointments. Um, so let me actually though, um, I don't, well, you saw it, so I don't need to go back and do that. I am going to, because you have a couple people actively in that
Mm-hmm. Yep.
call booked, I would, just update or like just either remove these, or I'm just gonna uh, change that to a dash.
Oh, why are you gonna do that?
Did you want to test it first?
I don't know. Yeah. You got to tell me. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
I
We
was just
just
gonna
need,
have a call to confirm. I mean,
right.
um,
But what I'm saying is we need a phone number, right?
oh yeah, yeah, we would. Yep. And actually, let's move this to like, um, wait, 30 minutes. Is that 30 minutes before? Exactly sure. Let me see. Yeah, 30 minutes before. Okay. So let's actually make this one like, actually, let me just cancel that. Um, and then I'll make a call. Um, Wait, did I have that? Yeah, call the user to confirm the appointment. Okay.
It's neat.
Yeah, so it would just need a phone number on that one.
It's worth doing all of this.
Let me hop over, and because by default we have it set to where um, you only get one phone number. So, and then I do have to run in a second. Um,
Did you say you have to run in a second?
I do, I do, unfortunately. But let me get this set up for you here real quick. Let me make sure you can have multiple phone numbers. Um,
You'll send me this
oh,
recording.
actually, I didn't look at that. I was already thinking through. I didn't give you a cap on phone numbers,
Look at that.
so you should be good. Yeah, so if we hop back here,
Do I need to write down all these phone numbers?
not really. Oh, because let me show you. I'll show you one other thing here. And so call confirmation. Um,
864.
okay, so we've got that.
Yeah, the
Let's go
top
back.
one was the other one. So the one's an
Yep,
inbound, the other one's an outbound number, right?
pretty much. Yep. But here's what we can do, which is
What
really
about the active tag? Do we need to do anything there?
no, I mean, unless you want it to. So right now it's just going to call the person,
Oh,
right?
okay.
We don't need it to. Now we could force like an outbound message or whatever, but you already have like texts that are
Yeah,
set
no, no,
up.
no. Yeah.
So to me, this is all that's really should be needed. But one thing that we could do is this phone number. If you want one number that a person could call or text into, and
Hmm.
you want it to go straight to the assistant.
Well, see, I want to put that number on the website
Okay. Well, one idea
because
because
right
they
now it's going to my
yep.
cell
Here's
phone.
nope. Here's the thing. Do you want the assistant to answer all the inbound calls initially?
Oh, Hellfire, yeah, if I can do
Okay.
that.
Yep. Nope. So here's what we're gonna do. We're taking the phone number that's already in the CRM side,
Hmm.
that's already on the website, I believe.
No, not technically
Okay.
right now. It's mine.
So I would put this phone number on the website. What we're gonna do though
Okay.
is we are going to have it automatically for the call directly. Oh, why did that pull all that? Directly to the AI. Does that make sense? So
Hmm.
the reason why they can text, so right now, unless I do something on the back end, which I'm not going to get into at the moment, the voice and text, it's one assistant, but it's still two separate like functions, right? And so the chat, incoming chat is coming in from the CRM, which is this phone number that we're looking at here over here. The voice is calling directly into the assistant. Okay. So if somebody were to text the assistant number directly, it would not respond. It's only set up for voice at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have, hey, you can call or text this front end number, and it's just going to forward and connect it to the assistant, essentially. So that way, now the only thing would be the outbound calls are going to look a little, will be from the assistant number directly, but that usually doesn't matter. So this is what I would put on the website. And you can put call or text this number to start a conversation. And then it'll, whether they call or text, the assistant will now respond.
Good. So I don't have to have my cell phone number out in the world anymore.
Nope. I would put just that number. And if they call it, it will forward it to the AI. If they text it in, it'll come through the workflow and the AI will pick it up because they'll be added to that tag. Now, oh, that would be one thing. I would test it. I created that separate workflow under the AI folder where any inbound, message basically gets that tag. I don't know if you have something else set up though to automatically respond, or so that's the only thing I would test, which you could test right now. You could text that phone number, or I can text it.
Which phone number to text?
So it's going to be this one right here, the 8.
My CRM one?
Yep. So 864 763 6535.
Hi.
And then double check. It should
New phone number.
Now, one thing we can do is we can come in here under the AI. We can go to conversations. And so we can actually see real time what's going on. So here it generated the response. We can look at here, which is the back-end coding side of it, basically. So we can see what it did. So it went through and it did the SMS. We can see if it shows like a task was created or a note was created, all that stuff. So you can kind of see like what's the back-end side of it, which is really cool. And then, yeah, and then you can come back to the chat. So, and here, so let me get, training the AI, right? What you can do is you can go through the conversations and be like, ooh, I really like the way it responded there. You see right here, there's a little thumbs up. You can give it a thumbs up. Actually, this may not be set up in V2 yet. Okay, that's not live quite yet. But what you can do is give it a thumbs up, and this will further refine. It's called refining or fine tuning. It'll fine tune the responses. So you can, or let's say it makes a response you don't like, which is usually more what it's kind of intended to. You could give it a thumbs down and be like, okay, I won't respond in that way. So you can give it thumbs up and thumbs down and things to fine tune.
Oh, wow.
So again, I guess version 2, when like I said, this just rolled out like not long ago.
I know.
But it's pretty, like I said, it's pretty sweet. And so here you can see I said, hi, here's the response. How did you come across? What inspired you to reach out? And so, yeah. And there was no other response. So no other workflow was shooting off an automated response. So it looks like it's good to go. We could call.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can hear it.
Hi, Michael. This is Taylor from Think Different Dementia. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing, Taylor?
I'm doing well, thank you. How did you hear about Think Different Dementia and what prompted you to reach out?
I'm friends with Lizette, and I just wanted to learn more about what she's got going on. She's awesome.
That's wonderful to hear. Lizette is indeed amazing.
A little bit of noise.
No worries, Michael. I can hear you just fine. Think Different Dementia aims to ease the burden on caregivers.
That is
So
amazing.
here's the thing. It knew my name because I was already connected with the phone number. So it like from the bat recognized my name and said, Michael, right at the very beginning of the conversation.
And now it's pulling up the conversation.
Oh, I do need to check. So I'm not sure why this may be sending a separate text.
Was that but that's exactly what she said the second time.
That's what she said. But here we should be able to look at the call history. Here's the transcript, call minutes. We've got some new features coming out soon. You can listen to the recording. You can download the recording. So it's definitely it's pretty amazing.
I'm like so overwhelmed. It's a good kind of overwhelmed.
It is. I mean, so a couple of really cool things, just future of AI. So this is on 4.0, OpenAI 4.0 with a couple other models as backups in case OpenAI goes down. 4.0 really was a game changer because it got the speed and the number of tokens and things to where it's very realistic, right? The updated 4.0 is coming out mid-October, which is really cool. They're also releasing a new, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank on what it's called. Comprehending language or whatever. I think I posted it in the school group actually. Like it's crazy how far it's come in just the past 18 months, 2 years. I mean, can you like another couple years? Like, I don't know that you'll be able to distinguish a person from an AI. It's crazy.
People are so scared of it and I'm not.
I'm not in most sense. No, absolutely not. So, but yeah, so
for my next,
how great was that? Like, how cool was that? Like,
it's very, very cool, very cool. But now tell me step by step, where do I need to start?
For what? I mean, we built out, so like inbound call is working.
Right. But what I mean is like to follow up with leads and to nurture them as they come in. So what do I don't even know what I'm asking.
Nope. So a couple things that you may want to do. One is we could go to contacts. If you want the AI to respond, the assistant to respond to like any message at this point, you could select all contacts and add the tag AI lead the book call, for instance.
Okay.
That way everyone's got the tag, it knows to respond. Although actually we have it right now where it'll respond on any inbound text, SMS, Facebook kind of thing. So that's already kind of set up. Oh, I know. There was one other thing I was going to show you here. I know because
literally so correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm now slowly my brain starting to work again. Anybody who messaged me, anything coming in now is going to kick off the automation.
Yep. One thing we may want to do because I know at one point you were running Facebook lead forms.
Yep.
So
I haven't done it in a bit, but I'm going to again.
Oh, let me save it so it can pull up as a trigger. Say something like that. I'll show you here why I'm doing this. If you wanted. So here, what we could do is we could do a couple things. We could still add this. Actually, I could have put that up there, but that's fine. Do that. And then what we could do, so if it's a new inbound lead, we could have the AI call the lead because there's speed to lead, right? Which is ideally you want to get in touch with the lead within the first few minutes. That's not always easy, especially as a business owner and stuff. So you could have the AI just that lead to call AI, like just immediately call any inbound Facebook lead form submission. So we could set it up. You could add the assistant ID, and it can, reach out, make the call. So that would be one thing that you could do. You could also have it, which I need to reconnect something because there should be like a couple other options down here. But you could do one of the options that'll be there after I refresh something is you can do a outbound message. And so inbound Facebook lead, you could have it automatically call and text the person immediately. And it could be a dynamic text. So instead of like hard coding a SMS, we could set it up so that it, so instead of being like, thanks for your interest or thanks for submitting, clicking on the ad, which you can still do. We could have it be a little more of a dynamic prompt kind of thing. But if you're not running it right now, I'll just leave that like that. But yeah, so right now, any inbound message, the AI will pick up and respond.
So what I need to do is put in the knowledge base.
Yeah, so I would say populating the knowledge base would be good. But I mean, like from a technical standpoint, I mean, if you update the website with that phone number, it can start making inbound call or taking inbound calls, inbound texts, Facebook messages, Instagram messages, all of that. So I would definitely, like, for yourself, play around with it a little bit more. A great way to test it, just FYI, is if you create a chat widget. Is this chat widget active somewhere? Okay.
I don't think so.
And if not, I can create a new one.
I doubt it. I don't see it on my website.
Yep. So if you do an SMS email one, it does like it's text messages, right? So there is a little bit of a cost and delay and some stuff like that. But live chat there's really nothing. So what you could do is do a live chat one here. Again, this would really just be for testing purposes. So it really doesn't even matter what what you put on some of this stuff. I think this is, disable if you have a live chat, save. And then, so here's what I usually will.
So will this go on my website now? No, because that's in WordPress.
So you could get the WordPress code and just embed it. But what I would almost do just to test it is I do this. Turn on make sure the chat widget here. Chat widget 2, I think, is it? Let's save.
So I can literally go add this now to all of my funnels.
You can. Again, I would test it first. And this is what I'm building out for you right now, is to show you how you can test it. And so here we're just going to throw in just so the page has something. And we'll just throw some massive, like, I don't know, 300. Actually, that was the wrong one. Save. All right, and now we can, so I'm pretty sure we tied it to the AI, right? So now here we have a live, like it's live, right? But no, it's not on a
URL.
Yep. And so we could say hi or something like that, or I have a question about dementia. Okay.
This is game changing.
we can go and look at the back end, but because it should. So what should be going on now is it should be, there you go. Yes, I'm the right person. I'm Taylor. So how cool is that? So here, this is why I tell clients, it's like this test environment, I would go through it as what you would think a normal conversation would be. And then I would go through and intentionally try to break it.
Mhm.
Give it the most outlandish things. Because here's really where like, and not that you would go back and change the prompt for like every little thing, but
Mhm.
you may find instances where it's like, okay, we need to put a little guardrail on here. Or maybe it was like, hey, it was.
Oh, that's funny. So chickens actually can get dementia. Did you know that?
I did not. Very interesting. But you can see, so now like, and it's not live. It's a test environment, that's a live test environment, right? And it's
Mhm.
not using like SMS minutes or, you know, any kind of cost there or anything. And so again, like here you can go in and
So this is a random question. How much is this going to increase the costs? Like truly,
for what?
when it's live, just depending on how much people use it.
I mean, none, because you upgraded to the plan where it's basically
Okay.
including it.
I didn't know that.
Now, if you're using like 100 hours a month, like we'll need to discuss and probably rebuild some of the hours.
Mhm.
We were able to basically get a really good deal on for the voice minutes.
Mhm.
Voice minutes are really the only thing that should really ever cost.
Okay.
I mean, you upgraded the plan, so the assistance, all of that's included.
This is amazing.
Text messages are pretty cheap, are so cheap. Like we pretty much, I mean, unless you're getting like 1,000 messages a day or something,
No,
like,
I'm not getting that
I
many.
mean, which it's great. And if you're at that point, then I'm sure you could afford an extra $50, like a month or whatever. But no, I mean, for like right now for you, like I said, the upgraded plan includes the assistance. It includes all
Mhm.
this. It includes, enough minutes that should last you a while. And if not, just let me know. And again, it's the minutes are pretty cheap.
Okay.
But so that would be the only thing. And then
This
yeah,
is
I mean, all the
amazing.
API calls and all like the backend functionality, like we pick up the cost
Mhm.
basically. It's just part of the upgraded account.
So when my new website goes live, you can help me, or Alan can help me get the API on the new website, right? On the new
Yeah, it's a
WordPress.
simple code. It's just like if you install a Facebook pixel code or Google Tag Manager code. It's a very simple script. You just drop it in the body or the footer. But yeah,
Yeah. It's simple when you know you're doing.
he and I can do it either
When
one.
you haven't
Yeah.
done it yet, it does not
No,
always.
I understand, but it's pretty like a lot of, so for WordPress, a lot of times you'll have a plugin that's like header footer plugin or
Mhm.
something like that. It's a plugin specifically for adding code in your headers, your body, or your footer.
I'm going to
With this,
connect you with the woman who's doing the website as well.
okay.
Her company's called Forecast Sunny.
Hmm.
And I know that they do some stuff with people with HubSpot, but I want it's not all of their clients have HubSpot.
Yeah.
They know that I use high level because I think it would also be a good connection for you.
Yep.
Related to that's part of her business is building websites for within four
Oh
people.
yeah. No, this would be
Um,
yeah.
to be able to seamlessly integrate some of the AI.
I mean, this would be an awesome upsell for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool.
So, yep. And so,
So how does one change the photo on? This is a totally random question.
yep. So here we can come back here. Oh, actually, I didn't mean to go there. Let me go back. So sites, chat widget.
There we go.
So here you can update the colors to
Okay.
your own branding colors and stuff. And then under styles, widget customizations, you can do replace. It'll pull up your file, your thing here. And so
So would you use your own photo or?
I usually don't. Now this may sound a bit, I don't know. I don't mean for it to sound sexist. I have found the conversations go better if it's a female.
Oh yeah, me too.
Not just like AI, just like in years of using chat widgets and stuff. I mean, it's just people seem to be a little friendlier. So you could use something like that, where it's humanish, and that was just created by an AI. I just used basically AI prompt. You could do your own photo. Like for you, it may be worth. So here's the only thing with using your own photo. My concern.
Well, we're calling it Taylor.
We're calling is like, even if you named it Lizette, like I will say there's some people who are like in their prompt, they'll say never admit your AI, right? Like, and so it doesn't matter like how many times you ask it, it will never admit, right? I'm more of the mindset like, hey,
no,
if somebody asks if you're AI, like tell them you are, but you are handling this end of the conversation. So Lizette can work more closely with her clients, something like that, right? You play it off as a benefit. But something like this where like, okay, it looks human, right? It looks like a person, friendly. It's not you directly, it's Taylor. Like that could totally be an actual person, Taylor, an assistant. So, and then you just click save. But yeah, so you can update it. You can change like the placement or whatever. I usually just do bottom right by default, unless you have on your website, like sometimes you may already have something down there, in which case you could move it to like bottom left or something. But most people.
Yeah, bottom right feels right.
Yeah, I mean, it's where so here, so get code for WordPress.
Got it.
No, that's going to take you to that. Usually I would just get the code. And so all you would do is just copy and paste this into the body. Again, Alan or I could do it. It's really not difficult. So awesome. I do need to run. I'm going to call in 5 minutes.
I know you do. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, for sure. I hope this was extremely helpful.
It was overwhelming, but in a good way.
It was, yeah. I appreciate you upgrading your account. You're one of our first that we've added the assistance to. That's not part of our high ticket program. So excited about that. Excited.
I do hope you get more people from the school group, because it is really, really, and you do put this video in there. I mean, seriously.
No, I will. I appreciate it. I've had several reach out wanting a video of what it can do. So that's why I was going to put this. So it's an actual like complete build.
And then send me a copy of the video and I can send it to Alan, or send Alan the video. Since you have his email address, send him the video. I'll tell him that way he can learn and help. Yeah,
no, that'd be awesome. And so, I mean, again, I did this like obviously we've been friends for a while, help you out. I wanted to get a video and I figure I might as well put a video of an actual build.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, because with our new pricing and packaging, I mean, like basically what I just did is like a couple $1,000s for a complete build out. Like,
oh no, I'm sure. No, I totally get it.
Again, I'm totally using this video for the school group for a couple different things, YouTube and things. So, no, I appreciate
you know, I don't care. You know, whatever I can do.
Well, yeah, and hopefully people will watch it, and anybody, hey, if you're, have a, if you're dealing
with dementia,
dementia caregiving and stuff, Lizette is the person to go and talk to. If you need her contact information, you can always message me, or thinkdifferentdementia.com is her website. She's totally awesome. I've known her for a while now. Good friend. But yeah, I appreciate that. If you have questions or anything, like I said, I would definitely test it a little bit, but
I'm going to go play with it now. I'm going to go upload some
upload knowledge base, call it a few times. FYI, so right now what we have found is it can handle roughly 10 to 15 simultaneous live calls at a time. Beyond that, it does start slowing down a little bit.
It's not going to be a problem right yet.
I know it's not a problem. We're working on a few things on the back end where it can basically share the load and do some things where it could even have substantially more. but
When I
yeah,
get
so
when I get to that problem, we have a good problem.
well, I figured 100%. But I'm just letting you know because I have been
Yeah, I'm
asked like, oh,
excited
well, can it
about
take
this.
100 calls? Well, I mean, like technically it should be able to, but because it's especially on the calls, because it's literally like transcribing and like assessing the
Yeah.
you know the words and everything. It can get a little bogged down when it gets close to like 20 simultaneously calls. But I did a video. I think I did a video. I think that's actually the one I posted in school where I did call, text, and have a live chat simultaneously, and it was flawless. So like
Lord.
different channels, it worked great. Calling is definitely the most labor intensive.
Mhm.
But awesome. Well, I appreciate it,
Awesome.
Lizette.
Thank you,
It's
Michael.
always good to
Awesome,
see you.
awesome, awesome. I'm gonna go play now.
Oh, yeah.
I
You
got
can
an
tell I
hour
get
to
super
play before
excited. I
my
get super
call.
excited. Like I totally geek out on this. So
I know. You found your calling, my friend.
I did. Have a great weekend.
You
Text me
too.
if you need anything.
I will.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.